Hi, it's Steph, and I'm at the Home Depot, and they have a bunch of new perennials and grasses and shrubs in stock in time for some fall planting. So let's go ahead and take a look at the August inventory at the Home Depot. The first thing that caught my eye is these beautiful large hibiscus blooms. This is the Proven Winners Holy Grail Hibiscus, and it is absolutely stunning. These bloom every year around this time here in my zone 6 towards middle to end of August. And they have this variety has this beautiful dark foliage. Look at that. Such a pretty contrast with the red bloom and the dark foliage. This is a real eye-catching plant. The Proven Winners Summerific Holy Grail Hibiscus is a perennial for full sun. It gets to be 48 to 54 inches in size. It is a really large shrub, so give it some space. It needs 54-inch spacing. It is hardy in zones 4 through 9 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms midsummer through early fall. It needs full to part sun. This is a number 3 size container for $24.98. And check out this really pretty grass. It adds such nice texture to the garden. This one is a really tall one. Look at that. It's at least 3 to 4 feet tall outside this container. This is called Maiden grass or Miscanthus gracilis. And it is a perennial grass for full sun. Gets to be 4 to 6 feet in height. It needs 48-inch spacing, and it is hardy down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Blooms early to late fall, and with grasses, the blooms are the plumes that it sends up. Some sedums, and sedums is such a wonderful perennial for your late summer and early fall garden. This one is all budded up, and pretty soon you're going to see a bunch of pink blooms. The pollinators also love sedum. So this one here is a Proven Winners Rock and Round Bundle of Joy sedum. It likes full sun. It's a short height at 10 to 12 inches in height and needs 16-inch to 20-inch spacing. Hardy in zones 3 through 9 or down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms in early fall. It likes full sun. With sedums, it is important to give them full sun. Otherwise, they get a little bit leggy and they have a tendency to flop. But otherwise, they are really low maintenance. They don't need a ton of water. In fact, they thrive on soil that is on the drier side. So a really low care, easy perennial for your garden. These containers of Proven Winner sedum are number 3 for $24.98. And some Sharon. This is also another late summer, early fall bloomer. It has these little pink blooms that look like turtle heads. In fact, there's a couple in bloom here, so let me show that to you. Look at those. That's where they get their name, turtle head plant. Really pretty shiny green foliage. And the fact that it is a late summer, early fall bloomer is reason enough to add this to your garden, because ideally you would have things that bloom from spring through early fall. The Sharon or turtlehead plant is one that likes soil that leans a little bit moist. So I actually have a spot in the garden that the soil does retain a bit of moisture, and I planted it underneath a Japanese maple so that it would get some shade, because this is a perennial that likes part sun. So this turtlehead or Sharon Hot Lips variety is in this number 3 Home Depot container for $19.98. It gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height and needs 18 to 24-inch spacing. Hardy down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms late summer through fall. Another really beautiful perennial grass. Look at this one. It's like variegated, has a really fine texture. And this one is called Maiden Grass Morning Light, Miscanthus Morning Light. It is a perennial grass for full sun. It's in a number 3 container for $24.98. It gets to be 4 to 5 feet in height, needs 48-inch spacing, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms early to late fall. And the blooms on this are the seed heads or plumes that you will see here that come up above the grass. And another wonderful grass, in fact, one of my favorite lower growing grasses is this one here. This is the Hamlin, and it already actually has all of its plumes. Look at those. So pretty. And this is a smaller grass, so let's check this one out. So the perennial grass here, this one's Little Bunny. So it's very similar to the Hamlin, where it gets these little plumes. It's a medium height fountain grass for full sun. It is deer resistant, which is always a plus. And let's see, it gets to be 10 to 12 inches tall and 10 to 12 inches wide, so nice and compact. Has a round or mounded habit, and it is deer resistant. So these are really great to add some textural elements to your garden beds and your mixed borders. Gorgeous. So the Hamlin is very similar to the dwarf fountain grass, the little bunny. In fact, we'll probably find some today. Really beautiful. This Sedum here is in a number 3 container for $24.98. In fact, right beside it, there is a Hamlin grass. So you can see how they are very, very similar in appearance. So let's check out the specs on the Hamlin. So the Hamlin grass here is a dwarf fountain grass. The variety Hamlin is also for full sun. It gets to be 24 inches in height, so it's slightly taller than the bunny fountain grass at 12 inches in height. And this one here needs 24-inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early summer through fall. Some Autumn Joy Sedum. So this one is in the Home Depot brand container. It is all budded up and getting ready to bloom. And Sedum also has these beautiful, large, succulent leaves. Really pretty plant. Even the foliage provides a lot of interest. So the Stone Crop Sedum here, variety Autumn Joy, is a perennial for full sun. This variety gets to be 16 to 24 inches in height. It needs 15 to 18 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Sedums are very hardy, and they bloom early summer through fall. You can even leave these bloom heads up and they start taking on a bronze appearance, which is really pretty for some winter interest. There are also lots of smaller containers of the Autumn Joy Sedum, and Sedum propagates really easily. If you happen to have some of these branches that sort of break off during planting, all you have to do is shove it in the dirt and it'll start growing roots. So this variety here is called Stone Crop Autumn Fire. It is a perennial for part sun. This one says it can handle part sun. And part sun would be anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of sun per day. But it's funny because this one says part sun, but then there are others that say full sun. And so here, this variety, the Autumn Fire, gets to be 24 to 30 inches in height. It needs 18 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms midsummer through mid-fall. Now this one is Autumn Fire, and this one is Autumn Joy. It could very well be that this Autumn Fire variety could handle part sun. So you can try it in part sun, see how it does, where the Autumn Joy does say full sun. But both varieties available at $9.98 in these small containers, 2.5 quarts. Some Cat Mint or Nepeta. Now this is one of those workhorse perennials that just blooms and blooms all spring and summer long. And if you at some point partway through the season shear them back, they will flush out again and they just keep going. Pollinators love them. They have a nice minty fragrance because they are part of the mint family and a gorgeous companion plant for so many plants. This color purple and just the airy structure of them blends so well with most garden perennials. So this variety is called Cat Mint Nepeta Junior Walker. It is a perennial for full sun. This container is $9.98. It gets to be 16 to 18 inches in height, needs 18 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And it is late spring to fall blooming. And some Asters, which are another wonderful plant to add now for some late summer and early fall color. This one here has a bunch of small purple blooms, and once they fully open, it looks like they have a yellow center. They have a more compact habit, this variety here. And then there is, and we'll check out what they are. Then there's this one behind it that seems to have some pink blooms and has a bit taller, more loose habit, where these are a little bit more compact. So the container here reads just Aster, and it is a full sun perennial, getting to be 12 to 18 inches in height, needs 18 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms midsummer through fall. And this is that pretty purple variety. And this pink variety here also reads the same as the purple one, but it's a different bloom. It also seems a bit taller, the plant, and has more of a loose habit. and it says the same specs. So when you're looking at these and you're choosing the color that you prefer, take a look at the plant habit and see what you're looking for. If you have more of a cottage style garden and like plants that are a bit looser, you might prefer this pink aster. If you want something that's a bit tidier and more compact, you might prefer this purple variety. Here are some more larger containers of aster, and these are still budded, but they are starting to bloom. Looks like a pinky purple type bloom. And this variety here is also a full sun perennial. It's called Aster Nova Belgi Magic Pink. Gets to be 18 to 24 inches in height, needs 18 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early to mid-fall. So this is a great way to extend your color show. You just shop during different parts of the summer, and if you keep adding perennials a little here, a little there, eventually you will have enough blooms in your garden that will start blooming in spring all the way through early fall. Verbena, another really pretty purple plant that contrasts and works so well with so many different perennials. It looks nice with bee balm, with roses. Gorgeous. Now for me in zone 6, verbena has typically been an annual plant. However, it does self-seed readily. So if you don't mind having this in your garden go a little bit crazy, then this is to add, especially for a cottage style garden. Full sun, Verbena bonariensis lollipop gets to be 24 inches in height, needs 18 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to 0 degrees, and blooms late spring through mid-fall. Look at this pretty display that my Home Depot has here. They're growing some kind of squash and coneflowers, some hamlin or some bunny grass, sedums, a butterfly bush in the back. Really pretty. And this is here every year. And lots of arborvitaes. So if you're looking to add a living fence or some privacy screening to your garden, this would be a great way to do it. So there are two varieties of arborvitaes here. There is the emerald green arborvitae smaragd. Now the emerald green is a variety that deer are a little more attracted to. So if you plant these in your garden and you deal with deer, you might have to be careful and offer them some winter protection. Spraying, putting up some netting, otherwise they will chew up to where they can reach and your arborvitaes can become a bit misshapen. But this variety here, the emerald green, is a full sun arborvitae. They get to be 12 to 15 feet in height. They need 24 to 36 inch spacing, and they are hardy down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Emerald green arborvitae need a good amount of water, especially when they're newly planted until they get established. So they do prefer water. So here is another variety of arborvitae, and this one here is called Green Giant. Now the Green Giant is one that is a bit more deer resistant, and I know because my neighbors have a huge hedge of them. We have a ton of deer and they do not seem bothered by them. And so the emerald green arborvitae also has a different texture. It has a more ferny type loose texture, where the emerald green is a bit tighter texture. And the arborvitae Green Giant does get pretty large, so these get to be 20 to 30 feet in height, and they need 20 to 30 feet spacing, and they're hardy down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it likes well drained, watered soil. So water new transplants, keep them watered until they're established, and then if you go through periods of drought, certainly offer them some supplementary water. Now these are a pretty good size to begin with. So if you are putting up some kind of fence, I want to say that these are probably a 5 to 6 foot tree. Emerald green smaragd is a number 7 for $59.98. The Green Giant is also a number 7 for $59.98. And some fall shrubs. So I noticed that they have quite a few new shrubs here. So let's take a look at some, starting with this beautyberry. And the beautyberry this variety here has dark foliage. And this is actually the Proven Winners Glamberry beautyberry. And I have this one in my garden. So it has dark foliage, and then the foliage stays pretty dark. It's green with some of this maroon veining. And then it has these little flowers that will start to bloom that look like this. Okay, they look like little white blooms. And then you get some beautiful purple berries. Now, I will see if there's a spec card in these containers, but I don't think that there is. From what I can recall from memory, the Proven Winners Glamberry Beautyberry gets to be about 4 to 5 feet tall, maybe about 3 to 4 feet wide. It grows kind of in a vase shape, and the berries are just stunning. I couldn't find a spec card on this beautyberry here, but the Proven Winners Calicarpa Pearl Glam number 3 container is $34.98. If you do a quick Google search for the Beauty Berry Pearl Glam by Proven Winners, you will see it's an absolutely stunning shrub. Abelia, another wonderful shrub for summer and fall color. So this Abelia here is currently blooming, and it is late summer. And the foliage will actually turn a little bit bronzy, some shades of red, as we get into the cooler temperatures into the fall. But Abelia is another wonderful shrub to add for this time of year. So let's check out this variety. This is called Glossy Abelia. It is a shrub for part sun. It is deer resistant, which is wonderful. It gets to be 3 to 6 feet in height. It needs 6-foot spacing, and it blooms early summer to fall, hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And this variety here is in a 3-gallon container for $26.98. Another flowering shrub that you can add for some summer and fall color is Caryopteris. So this variety is called Bluebeard Longwood Blue. And you can see here that it will soon burst out in a profusion of these blue colored blooms, very similar to like a Nepeta. They get to be 18 to 36 inches in height, and they need 48-inch spacing. They bloom early to late summer, and this one, we're in late summer and it's all budded up, so I'm guessing it's going to bloom closer to the end of summer, beginning of fall. It is hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. And this container here is a number 3 for $26.98. Now, Caryopteris is pretty woody, as you can see here, but what you can do is after it's done blooming in the fall and it's dropped all of its leaves, you can go in and you can kind of prune it down to about 10 to 12 inches, and that should help it from getting too woody and continue to have more of a bushy habit. Check out all of these bloom buds up and down the stem here. This is going to be stunning in a couple of weeks once it's in bloom. Some Ajuga or buggleweed. This is actually one of my favorite ground covers. I have this variety in my garden. It's the Burgundy Glow, because look at this pretty color on this foliage. How could you not like it, right? It's gorgeous. It also trails, and so what will happen is as it's trailing, it will create roots and start suckering so that it will spread as a ground cover. So this variety here, the Carpet Buggleweed Ajuga Burgundy Glow, gets to be 6 inches in height. It needs 12-inch spacing, water when dry, and it is hardy down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. And its blooms come early to late spring. Now the blooms on these they look like this, really pretty blue spikes that kind of come up from the tufted foliage. And this container was $9.98. Now this spreads pretty well, so if you just get a couple, you can then start transplanting pieces of it and plugging it where you want it to create more of a ground cover. And ground covers are an awesome alternative to mulching. So if you start using live perennials like this to create ground covers, over time you'll have to mulch less. And they'll prevent weeds from coming up because these are taking up the space on the soil. So this is a perennial type ground cover which will die back in the winter, but you can also use evergreen shrubs that are low growing that also form ground covers. Here's something else that really gets going towards the end of the summer, and that is Rose of Sharon. So Rose of Sharon is also known as hibiscus. It's a type of hibiscus, just like the hardy hibiscus plants that we saw before. They all look very similar. They have a very tropical look to them. So this is a first edition shrub. It is called Fiji hibiscus. Look at those gorgeous flowers. Medium pink buds give way to flowers with a unique pattern. Slowly fades to light pink. So these like full sun. They have medium to dark green foliage, medium water needs. They are hardy in zones 5 through 8, and they get to be 5 to 8 feet in height and 4 to 7 feet in width. And this container here is a number 3 for $34.98. Lots of holly and boxwoods. They have some Japanese holly compacta. This is a full sun shrub. Gets to be about 6 feet in height, so you could use it for a hedge. Provides winter interest as it is evergreen. It needs 6-foot spacing, and it is hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And these here are, let's see, a number 3 container for $27.98. They have some Korean boxwood in stock. This one is a full sun shrub, and you can create hedges with this. Look at that. Looks cool. As they grow, then you can start shaping them into whatever your preferred shape is. They are deer resistant. It gets to be 2 to 6 feet in height. Needs 48-inch spacing and hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. And the Korean boxwood is in a number 3 container for $34.98. Some boxwood green velvet. So this one likes full sun. Now boxwoods also will grow in part shade. So something to know about these as well. And is deer resistant, 24 to 36 inches in height. And it needs 36-inch spacing, hardy to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. You can use these as hedges. You can put them in containers for wintergreen interest. And this variety is a number 3 for $34.98. Some Japanese holly, soft touch, and these are very similar in appearance to boxwood, but they are holly. They also form a nice mounded appearance here. They get to be 24 inches in height, and they need 24 to 36-inch spacing, hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. The soft touch holly is a number 3 for $27.98. They also have some inkberry hollies. This variety is called Shamrock. It is a sun evergreen shrub, deer resistant. And it says that it blooms early to late spring. I'm guessing that the blooms are really small, little white buttons, kind of probably insignificant. They get to be 7 to 9 feet in height and 9 to 10 feet in width. And they have an upright growth habit and are hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. These here are a number 3 container for $27.98. Some hydrangeas. These have some really gorgeous white blooms. Look at that. Nice and full and fluffy. Let's see what variety these are. This is the first edition's Little Hottie, and while there isn't a spec tag, I'm going to say that these are probably similar to the Little Lime. I'm going to see if I can find one with a tag, but if not, they probably grow to be somewhere in the 3 to 5 foot tall and wide range, and these are $34.98. And typically these pinnacle type hydrangeas like more sun. They can handle more sun than the Macrophylla type. I have my Little Limes in full sun and they do wonderful. They have some holly Nellie Stevens in stock, and this is a very popular variety of holly. In order to get berries on the Nellie Stevens, you should have a pollinator plant. So Ed Stevens, I believe, is one variety that will pollinate the Nellie Stevens. And so to get those berries, you need a pollinator. These are deer resistant, although I will tell you that I have a holly in my garden that anytime that there's new soft growth, it does get nibbled on by deer. But as it hardens, it's pretty prickly. It has a bite to it, so I think that they will stay away from it as the foliage matures. So it likes full sun. It is evergreen. It gets to be 15 to 25 feet in height and needs 15-foot spacing, and it is hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's see how much the Nellie Stevens holly is. Here is a number 3, and it is $29.98. And some Japanese holly Hellery. I really like the way the new growth has almost like this limey color to them. Really pretty. Look at that. Such a pretty contrast. So this variety of holly says that it is deer resistant. It is evergreen for full sun. Gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height. And it needs 36 to 48-inch spacing. Hardy to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And really pretty, this one. The Hellery holly is a number 3 container for $27.98. And this gorgeous golden color here is another beautiful evergreen, and it is a Hinoki cypress. This one is called Curdalo. And look at that. It looks like it has almost like a round or spherical type growth habit, but in the picture, it looks a bit more loose. So let's see. This one says that it gets to be 12 to 48 inches in height. It is an evergreen for part sun. And it needs 12 to 24-inch spacing, and it is hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to pull one of these out so we can take a better look at its shape. Yeah, it certainly has kind of a round habit, almost kind of oval, but it's got beautiful texture and color. These are a number 3 container for $34.98. Some more evergreen shrubs that have a bit of an oval or round spherical type habit. This one here is a western red cedar called Grün Kugel, or Kugel, and it is a full sun shrub. It gets to be 24 to 48 inches in height. It says it's evergreen and it needs 24 to 48 inch spacing, hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. And these here are a number 3 for $29.98. And some false cypress, vintage gold. Now, nothing beats the golden color of these evergreens in the landscape. If you have something yellow and then something green and something blue, it makes such beautiful interest in your garden. So this variety here, the vintage gold false cypress, is a full sun shrub. It gets pretty large at 8 to 10 feet in height. It needs 36 to 48 inch spacing, and it is hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. And these Fern Spray Gold Chamaecyparis are a number 3 for $29.98. Here's another really cute round evergreen, globe shaped. These are actually the size of like a bowling ball right now. Adorable. These are the Arborvitae danica. They are a full sun shrub. They stay pretty compact at 18 to 24 inches in height, and they need 18 to 24 inch spacing. They are hardy down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, these remind me very much of the Proven Winners Tater-Tot Arborvitae, which also has this round shape. Really cute to dot along, say, the front of a border. The only thing I'm leery about is that I have deer, and I think that these would not be deer proof. But if you don't deal with deer in your garden, these would be really beautiful on the edge of a border. The one thing that you have to pay attention to when you purchase these shrubs, sometimes the label doesn't match the tag. In this case, it's being called an Arborvitae danica, but when you look at the tag on the container, it reads Hetz Midget. And so I would just do a Google search to kind of compare the two, so that regardless of which one it ends up being, that you're going to be happy with the size. So this is a number 1 for $14.98. These are really nice for just some vertical interest in the garden. They have a really modern appearance. So if you have like a contemporary landscape, these would look really pretty. So this one here is a smaller container, so it is probably a little less expensive. It is a number 1 for $14.98. And the Japanese sky pencil holly is a full sun shrub. It is deer resistant. It gets to be 6 to 10 feet in height and needs 36 to 48 inch spacing, hardy down to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. The one thing I will say that I know about these is that if you do plant them somewhere, say under an eave, or where if you have winters with snow, the snow would fall on them, you might want to secure these with some twine over winter to keep them more secure, because if you do get some snow that falls in between, it could split the shrub and cause some damage. So something to be aware of with these. But look how pretty that is. Really pretty. And here's another cool variety of Arborvitae. This one is called De Groot's Spire. And what's really interesting about this one is that the way in which it grows, it almost appears that there are multiple trees, because the top almost splits into different points. So if you have ever seen these Arborvitaes that look like they have multiple tips at the top, it's likely to be one of these De Groot's Spire. So this is a full sun shrub. It is an evergreen that gets to be about 8 feet high, maybe even a little bit taller. And it needs 24 to 36 inch spacing, and it is hardy down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. So right now it's pretty columnar in growth habit, and then as it gets older, it'll start almost like having these different tips at the top. Just makes it really interesting. The De Groot's Spire is a number 3 container for $29.98. And the bulbs for fall are starting to come in, so that's exciting. And some more golden Arborvitaes. Now these are more pyramidal in shape, similar to the emerald greens and the green giants. But this is a golden variety, and it is called Golden Emerald Arborvitae Jantar. It is a full sun Arborvitae, gets to be 10 to 15 feet in height. It is evergreen, and it needs 4 to 5 foot spacing, hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. Jantar variety is a number 3 container for $34.98. This golden shrub here is called Arborvitae Rheingold, which is also a version of the Fire Chief Arborvitae. And what's interesting about this variety is that it takes on a really bronzy look over the winter. So it almost looks like it goes orange. To some people, they might think that it kind of looks like it's dying, right? But no, it's just a bronze appearance that it takes on. So this one here looks like it grows some of them grow a bit more round. This one looks like it kind of grows more in a cone shape. Gets to be 3 to 6 feet in height. It is a shrub for full sun, and it needs 3 to 5 feet spacing, hardy down to -50 degrees Fahrenheit, so very hardy. And this Arborvitae Rheingold is the number 3 container for $29.98. Some Mugo pines. So this variety here is called dwarf Mugo pine, but even the dwarf variety gets pretty large at anywhere from 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. So you want to give them a little bit of room. But if you wanted to size control the Mugo pines, what you could do is in the spring, they get some candles, and that is what the new growth is called, these vertical candles that emerge from the shrub. And if you candle prune, meaning you cut off those candles or that new growth, it will keep your shrub more compact. So if you do that every year, it'll size control it for you. Otherwise, you can just let it grow because it is a beautiful shrub with some vertical interest as these pine needles kind of go upward. Really pretty. You can kind of see that here in the picture. So this is a full sun shrub. It is deer resistant. I do have one in my garden. The deer do not bother it. This one says that it gets 18 to 24 inches in height. Mine's been planted for about 2 years and it's already at least 24 inches in height. And they will continue to grow. So it does need some room. It needs 4 to 5 foot spacing, and it is hardy down to -50 degrees Fahrenheit, so very hardy. And these Mugo pines here are in a number 1 container for $16.98. And they've also started getting some mums. Now I would say it is too early for mums. I would wait probably about a month before I start getting any thoughts of buying mums. But if you are going to buy some, you want to get them pretty tightly budded, just like this, so that you have the most amount of time to have them bloom and enjoy them. Also, typically the containers that they come in dry out really fast, so you'd be better off replanting them in a larger container with some soil that retains a little bit of moisture. I think they would be a lot happier. An interesting variegated grass. This one here is called porcupine grass. Has this horizontal striping on it. The porcupine grass here is $16.98. It is a full sun perennial grass. It is deer resistant, has a clumping habit, and it gets to be 4 to 5 feet in height and needs 48-inch spacing, and is hardy to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. It blooms early to late fall, and the blooms are these seed head plumes that you see standing up above the grass. And my Home Depot also has some Joe Pye weed, which is perfect for this late summer, early fall blooming. This is a native perennial that pollinators just love. And look at this variety here. It has the dark stems with these pink flowers. The blooms are all budded up and getting ready to open. And this variety is called Joe Pye weed, Eupatorium euphoria ruby. It gets to be 24 to 32 inches in height. It needs 24 to 30 inch spacing. It is hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit and blooms midsummer through fall. $9.98. And right beside the Joe Pye weed is another wonderful companion plant for this plant here. So if you plant these two together, you are sure to have some beautiful blooms in late summer, early fall. And look at all these bees around here. But it is Mexican mint or agastache. And this agastache is called Little Alder or Little Adler. We'll take a look at it. But look at this. Bees everywhere. It even has a fragrance like mint. So this is a perennial for full sun. It is Mexican mint Agastache rugosa Little Adder, and it is 15 to 18 inches in height. It needs 20 to 24 inch spacing, and it is hardy down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Blooms late spring through fall. Now, from what I understand about Agastache is it likes soil that leans a little bit dry. So it does say water when dry. So you want to let it dry out between waterings. And $9.98 for this 2.5 quart container. Look at this gorgeous and vibrant purple salvia here. This is called Salvia Blue Bayou, and it is a perennial for full sun, and it looks like it is a 14 to 16 inches in height, 14 to 16 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to -30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early spring through fall. And some Japanese painted fern, a gorgeous foliage plant for your shade gardens. Now these are, I would say, shade or part shade, because if you put them in sun, the foliage does have a tendency to get a little bit crispy. And if you do have them more in part sun, I would say to offer it a little bit extra water to help with that. So this here is the Japanese painted fern pictum, and let's see here. It's a foliage plant. Plant in partial shade or shade, prefers consistently moist soil, grows well in water's edge or in a bog garden, and grows to 20 inches in height and needs 24 to 30 inch spacing. Hardy in zones 3 through 9, down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Ferns here are $10.98. And some more plants for your fall containers. Some of those mini decorative peppers and some kales and even some celosia. There are still lots of colorful coneflower available at my store here. And these colors also transition beautifully into fall. Even as they age, you can leave these cones up quite some time and they're just gorgeous. The cones offer so much interest and the goldfinch birds really like the seeds here. And there's this yellow variety, and these might be looking a bit more pink on camera, but they are kind of like a coral with a little bit of red and some orange. Some of the varieties include this Sombrero Granada Gold, and these bloom late spring through summer. Plant in full sun. It prefers well-drained soil and grows 18 to 20 inches in height and needs 18 to 22 inch spacing, and hardy in zones 4 through 9 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And Sombrero Hot Coral. And so this one here, and the hot coral blooms late spring through summer. Plant in full sun, prefers well-drained soil, gets to be 24 to 26 inches in height, and it is hardy in zones 4 through 9 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that brings us to the end of the tour at the Home Depot. I hope that you've enjoyed checking out what they have in stock as we head into the end of August. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos, and we'll see you soon.